Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu rasulullah ala rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. As to what follows, family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the features. I greet you all in peace and love and no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we ask you again to please like, please subscribe, and please share. Uh, as you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. We do have the mirror sites that we humbly ask you guys to please subscribe to. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Tika. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Abdul Mateen. And I want to thank Brother Abdul Mateen again for sending us some super stickers yesterday. Hayakum Allah, may Allah multiply it for you 1,000-fold. Ameen. And also our mirror sites, the features, the infamous features on YouTube, and also the features on Library. Okay, so please like, please subscribe, please share. Please subscribe to the mirror sites because we always get censored up in this channel, man. Even though it's not really big, the channel itself is not really big. People don't like what we be saying, and that's just clear. That's obvious. We're not making it up here. You know what I mean? A brother asked me today actually. He goes, aren't you afraid that people, sending the fuzz after you and stuff like that? Like my channel's not big enough for that, man. We got to worry about that when that time comes, inshallah. You know what I'm saying? But today's topic is probably one of the most important topics that I think that needs to be understood and looked at in the Black community, and that is these hotep hustlers in the Black community and how much responsibility Black people have with regards to propping these particular people up. We have a lot of race based, charlatans, race pimps, in the Black community. As a matter of fact, I would say most of what you call leadership in the Black community would fall into that category of race pimps. And that is because the majority of Black people do not respect education. They don't respect hard work. They don't respect anything else but a certain type of look and a certain type of speech. So Black people, by and large, get easily manipulated. So the brother C.L. Edwards, Assalamu Alaikum rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good. Loud and clear, bro.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, there's little technical difficulties.
No problem, bro. No problem. Right? So the brother C.L. Edwards, yesterday, he sent me a video of Tariq Nasheed. And I'll let you take it from there, bro.
Tariq Nasheed, if anyone doesn't know, he's a online personality who he's had different incarnations about who he is and what he does. He at one time he supposedly was a pimp, and another time he started writing like books on how to pick up women. He was a rapper at one point, and as far as the last, I don't know, almost a decade now that I've been aware of him, almost he's been some type of Black consciousness activist scholar. So that's what he's been on. He's very famous for his documentaries that he created, Hidden Colors. And actually, I like Hidden Colors. I think the Hidden Colors documentaries are beneficial, and if he had if he just stayed to making like content like that, videos, interviews, things like that, he would be okay, despite his background. But now he's been collecting money, and from everything that I've seen is that he's collected over $1 million in order to create what he calls the Hidden Colors Museum. Well, now that he's collected all this money, uh, the piece of property that he was supposed to purchase to turn into a museum, he's saying he can't purchase it because there's no clear reason why he can't purchase the property. He's saying that they're they won't sell it to him. There's something stopping it from happening, and there's an individual who lives in L.A. who went to the property, and there's still a for sale sign on the property. In fact, there are other buildings in that area in South Central off of Crenshaw that could easily be used as a museum also, that are for sale. And the person even interviewed individual who lives in that neighborhood and asked him, "Do you know who Tariq Nasheed is?" And the guy said, "I don't know who Tariq Nasheed is." And he and he asked him, "Do you know that Tariq Nasheed is raised $1 million to build a African American history museum in your neighborhood?" The guy was like, I haven't heard anything about that, you know. So what people are speculating at this point is that this is another maybe similar situation as with Omar Johnson, where he collected all this money to open what he called the Frederick Douglass Academy, and he's been collecting money now for over a decade. He's probably collected almost a million, if not more than $1 million, and the school still does not exist. So there have been other individuals in the so-called conscious community like this also. Brother Polite, who is well known for taking people's accepting gifts and taking people's money. He's been accused of plagiarizing books, plagiarizing materials on books and selling them on Amazon, running all types of scams where he allegedly took people's money. And I think he's even been sued and investigated about that. So at this point, it seems like this is Tariq Nasheed is possibly another of these individuals in the so-called conscious community who is basically talking a good game and collecting people's money, more like no different than the some of the preachers that we see in the so-called black church and outside of the black church, also, who talk about we're building a church, we're doing some type of charity, we're gonna put a new roof on the church, and they collect all this money, then the church never appears, the roof never gets done, the charity never happens, but the money never gets sent back to the people who donated the money in the first place. They ended up keeping the money. So that's what the situation seems to be like.
Yeah, with this particular situation, you know, to be honest, all these guys, the first time I heard about them, with the exception of Dr. Umar Johnson, right? Every last one, when people start sharing me the stuff, the first times I heard about these guys, I instantly said that these guys are charlatans. You understand? Like instantly, right? I just said, okay, this guy's a charlatan, this guy's a charlatan, this guy's a charlatan. With Tariq Nasheed, this guy has a history of hustling. You understand? Like he understands how to hustle. You feel me? He knows the whole hustle game inside out. He wears the gear, and he has the speech. His quick talking, fast talking. You know what I mean? And people would send me stuff from him, and then I would go inspect what he's saying, and it would be like completely, totally false, like the things that he's sharing. He's sharing it directly. You feel me? One of the things that stood out was during the Black Lives Matter protest, and somebody sent me a picture of a police car, something like that, arresting, something to do with black people in a police car, right? and he's saying that see what these cops are doing in the States and blah blah blah. And I went and I checked, and this police car was a police car from Ottawa, Canada. You understand? And had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter in the States at all. You understand? It had something to do with Black History Month, where the police car, they put like whatchamacallit, like these black figures. You know what I mean? Like, to put like Harriet Tubman or some pictures of some black figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he was basically saying that the police are trying to appease, people in the States by putting pictures of black figures on police cars. And it was in the entire time, this was in Canada, because Canada has we're pretty, like, it's a pretty liberal country. They have a history of supporting minorities. You understand what I'm saying? But he does this all the time. He always does this. He always shares these fake articles, and he'll get himself involved in philanthropy as well. You know what I mean? Like, so he'll build like homes in Haiti and whatnot. But people who want to, generally like make a positive image about themselves, they will involve themselves in philanthropy. Just look at Bill Gates, for example. You know what I mean? And Bill Gates is a massive devil, but he does a lot of philanthropy, especially in Africa. You know what I mean? So my whole thing is that who is making these people popular to begin with? That's my whole thing. Like, why are you sharing this guy to me? Like, why are you sharing his stuff to me without even vetting what he's sharing to begin with? You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even reach that point? You understand? Like, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we started this, maybe I actually took time to watch the 60 minutes broadcast with the whistleblower for Facebook. It was interesting. They didn't say anything that I didn't already know, and things you can find out on other places, like the documentary they did on Netflix about Facebook when they were interviewing former Facebook employees, talking about the algorithm and how it promotes. Supposedly it promotes content that Facebook executives know is going to be so controversial, it's going to make people get into arguments and debates with each other, because that drives up the time that people spend on the platform, and it drives up how much people share content on the platform. So some of this is insidious. These individuals, like whether it's Polite or Umar or Tariq Nasheed, or even some other individuals, in the conscious community and outside of the conscious community, that these people have, he is, he's a decent looking guy. Like you said, he dresses well. He talks very smooth. You listen to him talk, he doesn't mess up. He doesn't stutter. He doesn't say, he can talk, he can spit, and it catches on to the algorithm. And he's, and like you just said, he shares things like you just gave an example of this type of photo, and then then these people will put their own narration and their own interpretation on the photo, and they know that it's going to make people angry.
Yeah,
they know it's gonna provoke emotion inside of people, and that's going to make them share, and it's going to drive up their engagement.
And that's
so
exactly
they can make more
what
money.
he did. That's
exactly
what he did.
And that's the whole social media game.
Yep. So he's just playing the game. You understand? So it's black people that are propping these people up. We've had this problem with propping up charlatans and people who don't have the best interest of the community at heart in mind since the death of Martin Luther King. You understand? Since the death of Martin Luther King, all of our leaders have either been handpicked by the enemy, right, or been given a free pass to cause havoc by the enemy.
Mm.
You know, prime example of that, Dr. York himself. You understand? Dr. York himself. There's no way. You can't tell me there's no way from since the 70s, a man like that who has been molesting children, you know, the most prolific child molester probably in recorded history.
Mm.
You understand? At least in American history. And nobody from the whatchamacallit, the so-called intelligence agencies does anything until he's an old man now. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can't tell me that. But again, this is a disease. We've seen it with the Salafis as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened with the Salafis, where we have these foreigners coming into our communities, and look what happened look what's happening in Philly.
Yeah.
You feel me? Go ahead.
Now I was going to say, now picture what if Malachi Z. York had the internet
Mm-hmm.
when he was in his prime. Think about if
Yeah.
he could have had a tool like the internet and social media.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been
Yeah, just imagine that.
10 times larger than he was. His message would have, who knows, you know, the guy would have
Mm-hmm.
been ridiculous. And but to see, this is what we do. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a quote unquote the
Mm-hmm.
black church, and we can't just blame it. You know, we can't just blame it on Christians. We can't just blame it on
Yeah.
the black church, because you just gave clear
Mm-hmm.
examples outside of the black church. There's something else going on.
Yeah.
So whether it's inside the
There's
black
something.
church, whether it's inside
Mm-hmm.
the quote unquote conscious community, whether it's inside the
Mm-hmm.
masjid, we keep doing the
Mm-hmm.
same patterns
Same
over
thing.
and
Mm-hmm.
over again. No matter if we
Yeah.
jump from one religion to another religion, we jump from one movement to another movement, we jump from one,
Mm-hmm.
Political I don't even know.
Affiliation.
Yeah, political fad is what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Political fad to the next one, and
Mm-hmm.
Tariq Nasheed, he started another political fad also, which is the foundational
Mm-hmm.
Black Americans, which was in
Yeah. Yeah.
which is he started that, which is supposed to be a play
Mm-hmm.
on Adolf's,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
American descendants of slaves.
Slavery.
So a lot of us jumped on Adolf's. A lot of us jumped on
Mm-hmm.
foundational Black Americans. It doesn't matter what we have to get it through our heads that it's not jumping from one group or one movement or one fad to the next that's going to solve our
Mm-hmm.
problems, because we just take our
Yeah.
problems to the next fad and to the next
Yes.
call.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. This is this pattern that I've seen with Black people. Again, we can't just keep blaming other people. This is a disease here where we're just passing the buck of blame on other people. You feel me? So now the Omar Johnsons and the Brother Polites of the world and the young pharaohs of the world, we just say, well, look what they did, look what they did, look what they did. The problem is that why did you prop them up to begin with? Who was propping them up? Who was pushing them forward? Who was sharing their stuff? You
Yep.
feel me? Who was liking their stuff? I could never see myself, sharing like that type of material. I couldn't do it personally,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm listening to them speak, and they speak like charlatans. They like atypical charlatans. They have these groups, like you said, the foundational Black Americans. You have foundational Black Americans. You have ADOS, American descendants of slavery, right? Then you have the indigenous, right? Then you have the Kemet,
Mm-hmm.
and they use these intersectional type groups to cause problems within other Black groups.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And they don't even focus on the enemy. You don't really find these guys focusing on the enemy at all. They focus on other Black groups. Brother Polite, from what I remember about him, just a few videos I heard about him, he likes to talk about Muslims a lot. That's his thing. You know what I mean? He likes to talk about Muslims, you know what I mean? And then after he got this money that you were talking about, he went from this black consciousness to becoming a pimp. Like how you make such a lateral move like that.
He got pictures with white girls. I've seen a picture online with him posing with a Playboy. Supposedly, a white girl is supposed to be from the Playboy thing, and she's in African. She's in African garb. She's in kente cloth, and he's posing with her, and people were, in the conscious community were all up in arms about it. But even after that, he could still come back into the conscious community and get on what's the one show that's real popular on YouTube for the conscious community? Sonetta. Yeah, he can still get on Sonetta. Him and Sonetta are partners in making money or crime or however you want to put it. And Sonetta is another individual who's been accused of snake oil salesmanship, allegedly.
I could see that. I don't really watch his stuff. I heard that he's popular. You know what I mean? Somebody sent me a clip of something from his channel from some other doctor speaking, and the clip was very powerful. Actually, he said behind the guy on the clip said behind every content there's an intent. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I felt that. You know what I'm saying?
But see, these people they mix truth and falsehood together. That's the one thing. That's the one way they hook people. Also, is they do say certain things that are true. They do make certain points that are.
They can't be
true.
lying 100% of the time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They can't be lying 100% of the time. Of course, they say something true now and then. But this thing about personality, bro, the way that a person looks, we get duped by this all the time. Like if we see an Arab in the Muslim community and he's got a thobe and a beard and a shmag and igal, and gutra, you know what I'm saying? If he has these things, we're gonna make him imam of the masjid, and he might not know anything except for some Arabic, just because he got the look and he's got an Arabic accent. You feel me? Yeah. This is a disease. And at some point, we have to take responsibility for the people that we prop up as leaders and the people that we pull down as leaders. Because we have a lot of good people that have the ability to be leaders in our community, and we always tear them down, habitually tear them down.
That's a very important point because, in the Muslim, Black Muslim community, especially, it's acute that, for many years, it was this attitude. If the brother knows Arabic, it doesn't even have to be that. It doesn't even have to be good Arabic, really. It could be very shoddy, poor Arabic, but as long as he can, he can recite some Quran, and he can say, he can name, the top 4 or 5 scholars or whatever, then he's the imam he's the leader of the community, and he can't. And the reality is, the individual can't lead the community anywhere, can't develop anything, can't build any infrastructure, can't present any solution to any of the problems going on in the community.
Really, those type of people, they're not interested in developing the Black community to begin with, because they're not a part of it. They didn't grow up in the Black community. They didn't see the problems of it. Why would they have any invested interest in helping you? It's you who are chasing them because they don't look like you. That's a self-hate problem. Prime example, I keep pushing this out, Hassan Somali, prime example. You know what I'm saying? Could you think he can go into the Somali community and be an imam anywhere? He wouldn't be able to wash the imam's car. The taxi driver knows more about Islam than that guy in the Somali community. But he come all the way from Britain, right? He can't be an imam in Britain because even the British will run him out. He come all the way from Britain to Philly, and he never left. He just never left. Just like that. Now, Philly, his neighbor is getting shot up banged up, ganged up. You know what I'm saying? And what's his big solution to the crime problem? Hiring brothers to go get guns and run security around the masjid. That's his solution. Not going out doing outreach to the community, not making dawah programs, not making employment programs. You know what I'm saying? Not doing things that will, actually lower the crime in your area. You know what I'm saying? Going out talking to the drug dealers, reaching out to the people, the street people, trying to tell them about Islam, trying to make a better way for themselves. No, none of that.
But see that, me and you both know, and many of the audience knows, that type of attitude was discouraged among the quote unquote Salafis. Because
yes, it was.
You could live in the middle. You could live in the middle of the ghetto, and the prevailing thought was that you are completely separate from everyone else that lives in the same block and community that you live in. You just live in your own little world, and you're not those are the kuffar, and you don't. There's no interaction with them, and whatever it is they're doing, that's what the kuffar are doing. We're over here. We're upon Salafiyah. But then what the kuffar are doing, and for what I'm hearing about what's going on in Philly, it's not the kuffar, it's Muslims. There's shooting, getting in shootouts in broad daylight. So when now that
brother just told me that today from Philly. He told me what you just from Philly. He just told me that today.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So in the early 2000s,
and Jersey too, the same thing.
Yeah, that whole attitude of, we are here, we're in the middle of the ghetto, but we're not going to interact with these people, and whatever problems, that's their problems. As if taking the shahada, putting on a thobe and a kufi or a niqab and a hijab somehow erased all that trauma that you experienced through life, erased everything that's going on in your family, erased all the addictions, erased all the mental health issues that you had. It just magically made it disappear.
Yeah.
And now you're a completely different person, and you're separate.
You're a completely different person because you took shahada, you put on a thobe, you started growing your beard, put on a kufiya, and you became Salafi. And all the world's problems disappear because of that. Magically. Yeah. Magically.
But then what happens when the problem shows up on the front door of the masjid?
Yes. What do you do now? And that's exactly what happened in Philly. Exactly what the whole world saw it. You know what I mean? And his solution is we need brothers with guns. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying like security isn't important. It's important, of course. You do actually need brothers with guns, but it's not the solution after the fact. You know what I'm saying? You're a bit late for that. You know what I'm saying?
It's a bigger issue going on.
It's a bigger issue going on. And it's because of benign neglect in the Black community, particularly with Salafis. You basically neglected the community for however long you've been there, and now this is the result. You understand? And the people go for it. They just go for it. You see what I'm saying? They go for it. They have people.
It's no different than grandma's pastor.
Yep.
It's no different than grandma's bishop. But see, we thought again this assumption. Many of us assume we'll just leave Christianity. We just leave Christianity. All these we have serious problems, but we have very shallow solutions. Just leave Christianity, then the problem will be solved.
Yeah.
Just put on the thobe, and the problem will be solved. Just change your name to Amin Ra Nefertiri. Change your name to Amin Ra Nefertiri, and all the problems will just go away.
Yeah.
And then we act shocked. We look stuck on stupid when the problems didn't go away. They just got worse.
And there comes a point in time where you have to take a long look in the mirror, and you have to say how much of this issue that's happening in our community is actually my fault. You see what I'm saying? We're always passing the buck on somebody else. This is an issue. We don't like criticism.
No, we
How
don't.
do you expect to improve if you don't get criticism? You feel me? You
And
have to be criticized. You must be
that,
criticized. You must take it, and you must use that criticism in order to improve. And this is our problem. We want to be right, and we'd rather be right in our wrongness than actually correct our wrongness. And
yes,
then we wonder why the help of Allah is not coming. It's because of this. Look who you choose to be your leaders. Look what you're spreading. You spread all these lies, just lies. You share it with other people, asking them, "What do you think about this? Did you not fact check what you're sharing before you spread it?" You feel me? It's just insane. Like, how do we go from Malcolm X to friggin' Brother Polite? You know what I'm saying? Like, how
that's
you
a
do
heck
that?
of a joke. That's whoa.
How you do that, man?
You know,
That's crazy, man.
how did we go from Malcolm X to, how did we go from Martin Luther King to Jesse Jackson?
Yeah. From
That's a
Martin Luther King to
that's a
Jesse Jackson.
serious degrading. That's a serious.
Yeah.
We had Martin Luther
I
King.
am
He gets assassinated,
somebody.
and his little buddy.
I am a somebody.
Yeah, his sidekick. Basically, I mean, let's keep it real. His sidekick, his little homie. Now he becomes the leader.
Yep.
And where did he lead? And he led us where? Where did he lead us to? Where did we go?
Running on TV, telling black people to take the vaccine. Oops! Don't shut me down, YouTube.
Don't mention that word. Don't say that word.
Don't mention that word.
Yeah, don't say that
we'll
word.
We'll just say this. Let me backtrack, YouTube. Don't shut us down. Don't shut us down. There's a certain thing that YouTube loves. They love the cocoa. Okay, YouTube. We in love with the cocoa. They want us to take certain medicines for the cocoa. Okay. Yeah, bro.
You know,
Mhm.
And the pattern. We know what the pattern is because we saw it inside church. We saw it in the black church. So we should be able to see it in other places also, but for some reason we don't.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There is
the oratory. We love rhetoric. We love oratory and rhetoric, and somebody who can talk and incite our emotions and stir us up and get the whole entire room going. And it used to be. I remember when I was a kid, it was what do you call it? The preachers don't do it no more, but the Southern old style Southern preachers used to be hooping. And then Moses went down to the river.
Lord, I'm in love with the cocoa. Yes, I am.
Yeah, that used to be that for our grandparents. And then, but see, now it's the forces of Hizbiyah.
Yes.
He's off the manhaj, and it's the same. It's different words, and you're talking different, but it's the same exact principle. A bunch of words that stir up people's emotions, stir up people's excitement, but don't lead you anywhere. Don't produce nothing. See, the rest of the world. We talk about the white man, but it ain't just the white man no more. The white man, the Chinese man, Arabs, Indians. I mean, Indians are killing it. I don't know if just a side note for the United States. Look at the average American household income in America. Who has the highest household income? It's not the white man and the white woman anymore. It's Indians. Props to the Indian brothers and sisters. Y'all getting it. Y'all getting the bag. But these other groups judge things based on results produced. in the business world. If you work in blue collar or if you work in white collar, it's about results produced. You can't go around talking about you're an electrician and you don't produce nothing. You're an electrician,
Yeah.
but you never whose electricity did you fix? What show me a house where you ran the wiring and got everything going. I ain't never I actually never did that before. How long you been an electrician? 10 years. You've been an electrician for 10 years and you never did any of this thing. You've been a computer programmer for 5 years. Show me some programs you made. Show me some code. I haven't made any code. Show me an app that you created. I haven't made any apps. Well, how are you a programmer? How are you a developer?
Exactly.
So everywhere else in the world, everything is judged by what gets produced.
What it's producing. So now you've been in community now for almost 2 decades. You're an imam. Okay, fine. You're the imam of the masjid. Where are your hufaz the Quran? You know what I mean? Where are your tulab al-ilm? Where are the people that even memorize mutun from your masjid? Do you have any? No, but they can tell you who's on it, who's off it, who's out bidah. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, Akhi. It's crazy. But again, that right there, because the Prophet ﷺ, he said the believer doesn't get stung by the same hole twice. How many times have we been stung by this hole? How many times? We've been stung by it in Christianity. Then we're stung by it in Islam. Then we get stung by it in the Black consciousness community. And we're just getting stung by the same thing, just a different uniform. You know what I mean?
That's another thing we love too. We love uniforms.
Yep.
We love religious clothing. Again, going back to the pastor. The pastor, he comes out in his purple robe, and he got the big gold cross and alligator shoes, and everybody, all the women are, bedazzled, and all the men want to be like them. Then you go over to the conscious community. You got some, somebody coming out with a pharaoh's hat on, with an ankh in the middle of it. And he bedazzles the crowd. Now we go to the masjid. You got your shema. You got your dazzling super white throw, whiter than any white that you ever seen before, and the biggest beard that you've ever seen before, and that bedazzles the mind of people. The Hebrew Israelites. You got somebody walking around with the Star of David on their chest and some weird dress on and spikes coming out their shoulders and some weird stuff on, and he bedazzles the mind. We just love.
They looking like they out in the street looking dressed up like the Rick James band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember Rick James?
Parliament and Funkadelic.
Exactly. That's what they look like.
Bill and George Clinton. Dressing like George Clinton.
You get bedazzled by that. You get bewildered by that and stuff. Bamboozled.
But we never ask for results.
Yes.
We never ask for the resume. We never ask for the resume.
Yes. And the ones with the resume, we look at them like they're some sort of sellouts or coons or stuff because they speak proper, they have an education, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a total backward way of thinking. And that needs to change. The accountability needs to be put directly on the community itself. Brian Cordero, he says, we as Muslims need to grow in more aspects of life, social, political, and economics, and learn how the deen applies to these spheres of life. Exactly. Like all of this theory that we have in the religion, you know what I mean? We need to get out of that theory stage, Like, subscribe, share, guys. I need you guys to hook me up with some super stickers as well. We got the brother CL Edwards on this one. We are talking about race pimping. The problem with Black leadership is Black people, as not the leaders, because y'all made them the leaders. Let's be real. Let's be real. Y'all made them the leaders, and you force them to become your leaders. Let's tell the truth today. Let's be honest today. You prop them up, and when we ask for, two pieces of ID, who are you, where did you come from, you get mad at us. And then you wonder why Allah is not blessing you with your conversion to Islam, with your reading the Quran and praying and all this kind of stuff. It's because of the decisions that you're making as a group. You feel me? All the safety nets that we need as a community are already written in the Quran and the Sunnah already. You feel me? When if a fasta comes to you bringing news, then verify it. Who verifies these people? You put charlatans in front of you and call them your leaders. Jazakallah khair. Allah bless you and multiply it for you 1,000-fold. Sister Michelle Love, Mr. Sister Michelle Love is one of our day ones here at the Feachaz. May Allah bless you and your family. Ameen, ameen, ameen. You understand? There comes a time when you have to look in the mirror. If you look, we were talking about this too at the Japanese after World War II. When they were bombed, even though they were thousands of miles away from these wicked white supremacists and stuff, after they got bombed, do they just chill and sit and complain? No. They said, we got to get to work. We have to get to work. Same thing with the Chinese. They said, we have to get to work. You understand? And they got their communities together and they worked. And now we can't function without Japanese products. We can't function without Chinese manufactured goods. Because they took the ownership. They took the responsibility.
What's the name of that? What's the name of the university, the Islamic University in Minnesota? You know the one I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of it.
Okay, so our Somali brothers and sisters have founded and established an Islamic university in Minnesota, right? And I saw the recent graduation ceremony. It had different scholars, and it even had some African American scholars that were there. Some well-known names and figures that we even know. And I look at that and I ask, Islam has been in certain cities among African American people for decades now.
Yeah.
And why haven't we produced a university or even a college or a 2-year college? How many Black Muslim communities have even, forget college, okay? Let's forget universities and college. Have we produced a high school?
Yeah.
A middle school, an elementary school?
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, bro. These things we actually did produce. As Black people, we did produce. And that's why it's important to know your history and know your enemy. Every single time we built a school, what happened to it? Every single time. When we built our own communities, yes. When we built our schools, we wasn't troubling nobody, right? But every single time they were razed to the ground. How many black boys and girls were burnt in schools and churches, and you know what I'm saying? This is a real thing that happened in our history. So we have to be able to learn from our history. Why is the enemy doing this to us? And the thing is, now that we have Islam, we actually have a blueprint and a playbook and how to react to the enemy. And we don't need any permission from anybody else and how to deal with them, because Allah has already given us that permission. And if you're waiting for your... Go ahead.
Let me say it. Everything you said was true. We all know the story of Greenwood. We understand what happened in different communities all across North America. We understand that many of them were destroyed, attacked, for no reason, no provocation, for no reason. But how is it that certain other groups, like Dwight Z. York, was able to teach his people, have the people in his group learn Arabic in the middle of Brooklyn? How is
Yep.
it that the Nation of Islam could have Clara Mohammed schools and
Yep.
FOI and the program they have for the women, Muslim
hmm
girls in training,
hmm
Muslim girls civilization and training? How is it these groups that we say in the Sunni in the Sunni community would be deviant? How is it they after that, after these destructions, we're able to build these things? And we who are supposed to be upon the hawk, and we are upon the hawk, how is it that we haven't produced these things?
Yeah. And this right here is a hujjah against us, which you said right here. Because as bad as Dwight York was, everybody in his community, I mean everybody, every man, woman, and child in his community was reading, writing, speaking, and listening Arabic. The 4 communication skills in a language. They had all those language skills fluently in Brooklyn, New York. Do you understand? If you look at the Nation of Islam doesn't do anything but produce real men and real women in that group. And what we're doing in the Salafi community is that we believe that our Salafiyah makes us better than people. You understand? So we look at these other people with disdain when we should be learning from them. You understand? We should be learning, how do we teach our children Arabic? How do we teach our men to be functional people in society that are providing for families and whatnot? How do we teach our women to be proper wives and proper women, and women who can cook and clean and take care of children and homeschool? How do we do that? That's how we should be looking at it. But we don't look at it like that. We make enemies out of where there are no enemies, and we don't actually look at the enemy as an enemy.
Can I propose something to you?
Go ahead.
And I have to frame this in a way that people won't misunderstand or try to twist. We understand the importance of having correct Aqidah. It's like the key to the door of Jannah. You have to have it. Understand how important it is. Very vitally important. It's a must. You must have the correct Aqidah, right? But is some of the ways it has been framed and given to the general people by some of these groups, is it any different than the church's concept of pie in the sky?
No, it's not. It's the same thing. The way that's why I said it's stuck in theory land. All of this Salafiyah, manhaj salaf, stay away from bid'ah, stay away from ahlul bid'ah, and all this kind of stuff. Taraka ahlul bid'ah, make hijrah. Everybody got to make hijrah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody make talib. Imagine now if everybody in the community went to make hijrah and make talib al-ilm. Who's gonna grow the food in the farms? Who's gonna do that? Who's gonna slaughter the cows? You know what I mean? To give us beef. Who's gonna do that? We're all making talib al-ilm. Who's gonna build the masjid? Who's gonna learn masonry? Who's gonna learn electrical engineering and mechanics? Who's gonna do it? Because we're all making hijrah and we're all making talib al-ilm to be a burden in somebody else's country.
Which is never going to. Nobody's going to take. What is it? 30 million African Americans.
Yeah, nobody's going to do that.
Nobody's going to take 30 million African black people.
And even if you showed up, they will quickly try to send your black behind, push you in that rubber boat right back to America where you belong, or Canada, wherever it is. Just pipe dreams, bro. The whole world is laughing at us. And they're laughing at us because look at who we choose as our leaders. We chose them. We propped them up.
These groups, the SPism was telling people Don't go to college because that's the kufar knowledge. Don't go to college because it's free mitzing. So you can't go to college, can't go to school, can't go to community college, right? You can't work at this job, can't work at that job. So what was left? You like you just said, the solution, quote unquote, that was given to some people was, well, just make hijra and be a student of knowledge. Go to make hijra and enroll in the University of Medina.
Yeah.
How is that a solution for the vast majority of Black Muslims?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a solution because it can't happen.
It can't happen.
It's pie in the sky.
Exactly. All you did, and if you look at some of the people that go to study anyways, they came into Islam, and when they became Muslim, you know, I said this in one of my other lives, right? And out of respect for the brother, I'm gonna, you know, use less, what you call it, decorative language, okay? Right? We have this type of identity politics when it comes in Islam. Hayakumullah, Sister Tika, Jazakumullah khair. Allah multiply it for you 1,000-fold and give you genital for those, Sister Tika, for that, for your generosity in the super sticker. Hayakumullah. Right? So with the identity politics in the Black community when it comes to Islam, you have these people who are Ashari, you have these people who are Salafi, you have Maliki, Hanbali, whatever, you know, whatever it is, right? And the Salafis, what they do is that they prop themselves up, you know, as this wonderful Ta'if Mansura, Firqat al-Najiyah, you know what I mean? You know, this is not how we learned Salafiyah back in the day. We didn't see it as a group. We didn't see it like some sort of, like a group like that, you know what I mean? We saw it as like a methodology. Like, if you follow this way, you will be a part of these people. If you follow this way, that's what we were thinking. These guys legit see it as a group, you know, like a hizb. You know what I mean? So what I said is that this type of identity politics is that you identify yourself as a Salafi, right? I mean, you call yourself a Salafi, but really what it is, you're an a-hole who identifies as a Salafi. You understand? You're just an a-hole, right? Your whole mannerisms, your way of life, the way you speak, everything about you says a-hole, even the look on your face, right? But you identify as a Salafi. So now this a-hole who identifies as a Salafi goes and studies and comes back, right? Now he is an a-hole with Islamic knowledge who identifies as a Salafi in the community. You know, just because you can go and study doesn't mean that you should. And the community should be the ones picking and choosing the youth who they're going to support as a community, who's going to go and study and bring back this knowledge and who isn't. They should be doing this as a community.
That makes sense.
You understand?
Makes sense.
And the whole community together will fund the project. They will buy whatever the brother needs to go study. If he needs to get married, they'll help him out. And when he comes back, then he's going to teach the community. And the other problem as well is that these imams in these masajid is that they come back, right? They come back to be employees, right? I mention this all the time. These imams of these masajid, they're employees of the masjid, right? They work for the administration. You feel me? And the administration tells them what they can and can't say, which is why in 2021, you have an epidemic of dry khutbahs on Jummah. And the youth are going to these masajid because it's a chore for them, because their fathers tell them they have to go to the masajid on Jummah. And if they had a choice, they wouldn't go because the khutbahs are dry as hell. You know, they're going to listen to the imam talk about some fiqh issue or something like that. You know, today on this Jummah khutbah, we're going to be talking about the fiqh of cutting your fingernails for a half hour. You feel me? You know, they don't want to be there. They go into the masajid and they're on their phones, playing on their phones the entire time. They haven't even heard what the imam said the whole time. You feel me? So now Why is that? It's because since 9/11, whatchamacallit, there has been a ban from Western governments on what can be said inside the masjid itself, and they've been actively banning people from speaking, including Bilal Phillips, including Bilal Phillips. So you have these imams coming back, and they're effectively handcuffed on what they can and can't say, and they got to be the counselor, and they got to be the marriage counselor, and they got to be the Raqi, and they got to be the Quran teacher, and they got to be the Hadith teacher, and they have to wear all these hats, right? With no job security. And I repeat, with no job security, and can be fired at any time. Because these masajid are essentially, the vast majority of them lean liberal, and they work with liberal politics. So they want yes men for their positions. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And the people don't support the imams. You know, it's insane. It's totally backwards. It is totally like, what is happening? What is life? You know what I mean? It's bad enough you don't support the imam if he's good. That's one thing. But it's another thing if the administration actively fires and kicks out good imams to bring in yes men to bore your children, so that your children, when they go into the masjid when they're 5, by the time they're 25, they want nothing to do the masjid with their girlfriend in the club, because they've been bored to death for the last 20 years. And you don't think you bear any of that responsibility in that? You don't think you have nothing to do with that? Yes, you as the general person, yes, you have something to do with that. SubhanAllah, it's...
You know, along those lines, you know, specifically to the Black Muslim experience, especially the Salafi Black Muslim experience. Mm-hmm. First of all, overall in our community, we put a little bit too much value on jailhouse scholars. You know, the brother who goes to prison as a Pookie and a Ray Ray, and somehow he discovers some type of knowledge and comes out, and, you know, now he's expounding the knowledge. Now, I know brothers like that, good brothers, knowledgeable brothers. But the problem is, for every 1 or 2 brothers who are like that, who come out and are legit, there's a trail of other brothers who are running a hustle. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems that I saw firsthand with that is, you had certain brothers who came into the deen and they were supposed to be on the dawah, and then they're making hijrah overseas to get knowledge, and then all of a sudden they come back in a year, or maybe they make it 2 years and they're back. And why did it after a certain point, it started crossing my mind, like, okay, you were supposed to be going overseas to get knowledge. You were enrolled in an Islamic university overseas. Where's your degree at? Mm-hmm. What degree did you get? Did you get an associate's? Did you get a bachelor's? Did you get a master's? Did you get a doctorate? And with a lot of these brothers, it was always somebody else's fault why they didn't complete their studies. You know, I heard one of the craziest ones I heard was an individual who supposedly had went to the University of Medina and couldn't even last 1 year, and said the forces of his biyah were against him. You know, the forces of his biyah were against him. So he couldn't last 1 year inside a university. No, the reality is, like you said, we should be vetting who we send over there. The community should decide who. You got individuals who just decided because it's the thing to do. It's what you're supposed to do. And they don't have anything else. They don't have anything going on here in America. They don't have a career. Don't have an education. don't have anything going. They don't have any business. They're not entrepreneurs. They have nothing going on here. So how do I make myself somebody important? How do I get the sisters? I'm not saying all the brothers. I'm saying
Exactly.
the reality is, it's some of these people. Let me go overseas and be a student of not so-called student of knowledge. A student of knowledge who only stays gone for 6 months or a year, at most maybe 2 years. And so we had in our community, you had imams, you had students of knowledge, you had these brothers traveling all around the place, doing lectures, who had no credentials. And
yes.
the masjid down the street with the Arabs and the Pakistani brothers, you got an individual in there with a master's degree, individual in there with a doctorate degree. But if you're on the truth, you said you couldn't go overseas and complete your studies. Why couldn't you complete your studies, brother? Because a lot of these brothers, they was Pookies and Ray Rays. And
exactly,
they grew a beard out and got a throw. But they were still Pookie and Ray Ray. And Pookie and Ray Ray don't go to college. Pookie and Ray Ray don't get no doctorate degree. Pookie and Ray Ray don't get no master's degree.
Exactly. And now Pookie and Ray Ray is the imam of the masjid now.
Yes.
And now you wonder why you got problems, man. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like
Pookie and Ray Ray Pookie and Ray Ray will go overseas and get in the fight at the Prophet's masjid. That's what they gonna do.
Exactly.
They ain't getting no degree.
It's insane, bro. It's insane. If Pookie and Ray Ray changed their life completely around, right? And then they went to study and the community.
I don't have nothing against that. I don't have nothing against that.
But if Pookie and Ray Ray just put on a thobe and a beard and said, Salafi, I need to go.
But again, that's
that
super extreme religiosity and pie in the sky attitude. Because if you dropped out of high school, you didn't complete high school, you were never academic. What makes you think you're just going to take Shahada and then go overseas, enroll in a college, and be able to handle being in college and complete a program and get a degree just because you took the Shahada? Like, the Shahada doesn't change your frontal lobe cortex. It doesn't change your ability to study and be organized and to study for tests and complete assignments on time when you never did that before. Maybe you should go to enroll in community college and take some courses and see what it's like to be in college first, and see what it's like to be in school and have to be on a schedule and do things on time and do things in a certain way that a professor wants you to do it, and get used to that first, then go and go get your Islamic education. But you can't leave the block, take Shahada, get on a plane to Saudi Arabia, and then
flunk your college material.
Flunk and blame it on the forces of a Hizbiyah.
Like, what? What are you talking about, man? You know what I mean? And here's the other thing, bro. A lot of us, we got a totally skewed, misconstrued idea about Islam and how to help the Muslim community. You can get the same reward for helping the Muslim community as a plumber as somebody who's a Quran master. You feel me? If you're helping the Muslim community, if you're doing the plumbing, among the Muslims, you understand? Same thing with electrician, same thing with carpentry, same thing with engineering. You know what I mean? And that's why this is where counseling comes in, because as a community, we need to vet who gets educated in what in order to build our community. You understand? You can't have a community full of tulab al-ilm. Like, what is that? Maybe you can have a community full of hufad the Quran. Yes, that can happen. And it should be worked for. That goal should be worked for. People who are all hufad the Quran and all speak Arabic. That is possible. Yes, 100%. That is something that is possible and it's reachable and attainable, but it requires a total community effort to make that happen. You understand? But in terms of building a functional community, You can't just say, okay, everybody, we're all going to go make Talib and come back and teach the people Islam. We've been doing that for how many years now, and it ain't working, and it's not going to work. You know, the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
But when you're in a cult-like environment, you can't question that. Yeah, you're doing the same. Everybody's doing the same thing over and over again. But you're in that cult-like environment. You're not supposed to. Nobody's supposed to stand up and say, "You know what? This ain't working." Like you can't do that.
Yeah,
you can't stand up in the middle of the room and say that.
Guess what, brother Bilal is saying this ain't working. Right? It's not. No, it's not working. It's not working. No. You know. And we all need to get together. And I keep saying we all can do something. All of us. There's no reason why any single one of us needs to say that we're bored. We shouldn't be bored. Not a single one of us should be bored because there's so much work to do. If you say that you're bored, it's like haram. Like haram, how? Cave. Do you know all the work that we need to do? Do you not see what's happening in our community? How is it possible that you're bored? The bare minimum, you should be working on yourself. That's the best way to help the community. Work on yourself. Do something, anything. Memorize Quran, learn Arabic, go to community college or school or learn a trade or something. You know, develop yourself. Do some self-development here. You want to help the community. But don't be talking about you're bored. You know? And I better not see you, you know, running 20, 30 messages on Facebook and Instagram a day. Like, what? How do you have time for that? And then you can complain about you don't have time. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't have time. I'm so tired. Like, what? Tired of what?
And
finger fighting your phone?
Some of these brothers and sisters, beyond, you know, getting job training and skills and education, some of them need some mental health, professional mental health help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've met individuals, they definitely needed some mental health assistance from professionals, not just, you know, sitting down talking to the local imam. They needed some professional.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel sorry for some of these imams because how can you ask an imam to be the counselor, the marriage counselor, the community counselor? How you ask him to do all this?
Mm-hmm.
Only in the masjid. Get a real counselor. Like you're a masjid. You should have enough resources to get. If you're serious about helping the community, get a counselor, somebody who's professional, who can actually help people, who's been through the training of counseling. Let the imam do his job as an imam. Let the imam, you know, what the imams are really skilled at, every imam, if they're imam at the masjid, they should have this skill, is they're really good at networking because they know the people in the community. So they know the business owners, they know the doctors, they know the lawyers. They can, you know, whoever needs something, they know who's who and who's what and what not. You know what I mean? Because everybody's going to the imam. But once you're you know, handcuffing the imam from doing imam duties, you know, the imam should be, you know, doing imam duties like dawah programs. Feel me? Like maybe teaching some Islamic classes, giving the khutbah, leading salat, you know, and these type of things. But all that other extra stuff, and on top of that, no job security. Come on, man, it's a joke. That doesn't go on in any other Muslim country in the world. Bar no other Muslim country runs like that. When the imam goes to the masjid, guess what he is at the masjid in any Muslim country? Guess what the imam is at the masjid in any Muslim country? He's the imam. He's the imam of the masjid. Over here, he's everything and everybody. It's crazy, bro.
SubhanAllah, you know, yeah, you're right, and that's, I mean, again, but yeah, I've seen, but it's some of that is due to some of our attitudes. Again, but if you tell people it's haram to go to college, how are you going to have somebody in the community that can handle mental health issues?
Yeah, we need to deal with that. Like, there's so many mental health issues in the black community. It's not even funny, man. It's we all crazy, including me. We all got some baggage, man. You know what I'm saying? We all have something wrong with us, bro. It's like, we're all nuts. We need some counseling. You know what I'm saying? And that's real. But all of this, like, here's the thing: black people think that their problems are kind of like unique, and they feel like isolated. But in reality, if you start talking to people, you'll realize that many people have the same problems that you do, man. Many people have the same problems that you do, and it's possible. It's possible to overcome these problems with Allah first and working together. Ta'awun ala birri wa taqwa. Work together upon birr, upon righteousness and taqwa, and fearing Allah. And a part of that is being humble. Allah says in the Quran, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, to counsel each other bil-haq, in the truth, and counsel each other upon patience. Counsel each other on the truth requires that your feelings are going to be hurt every now and then, because somebody's going to tell you about your parts. But guess what? That is good for you. Learning the truth about yourself is good for you so that you can improve yourself. How are you going to improve yourself if you just keep a crowd of yes men around you, cheerleaders? Everybody in your crew believes the same thing that you do. All you and your 5 broke Pookie and Ray Ray friends, you know what I'm saying? Telling you how you're right and everybody else in the whole world is wrong. You don't need friends like that. Straight up. You need the friends that are going to tell you the truth. That's your friend. You know what I mean? Like, for me, even people who know me, they know this already. Like, I prefer, especially on the background, that people criticize me and tell me what I'm doing wrong so that I can improve myself. That's how I am. I'm not looking for yes men. I'm not like, okay, I know you like my video. Okay, thank you, mashallah, jazakallah khair. But what do you think I can do to improve it? Like, what do you think I did wrong here or there? You know what I mean? And even my followers on YouTube, they understand this too. They like, because some of my followers, they get harsh with me. You know what I mean? But they know that I can take it. They know that, right? They know I can take it because that's how you improve. That's how you get better. You can't be right all the time. You know what I'm saying? And this disease amongst black people, not liking to be criticized and thinking that they're right all the time, thinking criticism is there's a difference between criticizing somebody and insulting them. They're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. You see what I'm saying? If somebody told me, Bilal, guess what? You talk too much. My wife told me that all the time. All right? You talk too much. That's a criticism. That's not an insult. Just tone it down a bit. But if somebody told me, you know what I mean? What you call it? Like, some of these people on like, you see all the insults I get on my comments. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm what you call it? I'm a follower of Louis Farrakhan. That was the latest one. I'm a follower of Louis Farrakhan. Me. Me. I'm like, okay.
But see, that's that shallow. That shallow, ultra. What's the word I'm looking for? Virtue signaling that we do. A lot of us in the Muslim community, we do virtue signaling, where you can't make a point using the Nation of Islam as an example, because that's what you're doing. You're just making a point
do it because
using without somebody saying, "Oh, you must be you're a follower of the Nation of Islam." It's like it's this shallow way of thinking. Like I mean, goodness, did your mind not progress beyond the 8th grade, where you can understand things without everything is reactionary, everything is black and white, everything is shallow, and it's like, how can you progress thinking like that? How can you build anything thinking like that? Everything's a conspiracy. Everybody cannot be the forces of Hizbiyah.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
are there are forces of Hizbiyah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let me get that on record. There are forces of Hizbiyah. It is real. They are
Yeah.
real. But everybody that people call the forces of Hizbiyah are not the forces of Hizbiyah.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? We need more thinking and less talking. You feel me? We need more reading, like books, physical books, and less reading social media.
Mm.
And these are simple things, like anybody can do them, you know. But most of all, if you take accountability for your own actions, then that's the best way to help the ummah as a whole. If you take accountability of what you consume online, what you consume, um, in terms of your relationships with people, these type of things. You know what I mean? All of this matters. If you
And
think that you are flawless and the best person, and nobody can tell you anything about yourself, because if they do tell you something about yourself, they hate you. That's your problem. You will get left like we're moving on now. You know what I mean? We have too many problems in the black community to be worried about you and your feelings. We can't be concerned with that right now. There's too much going on. You feel me? I don't know. I'm just talking.
yeah,
I'm just
I'm just
talking.
here to make you think. Um,
I'm just here to make you think.
Also, another area that we haven't discussed yet is how it plays out in marriage.
Yeah,
We got a serious marriage problem.
it's a crisis in marriage right now. It's a
Yes,
crisis.
it is absolutely a crisis going
Mm,
on.
mm,
And again, a lot of these in some of these groups, these students of knowledge and these imams have not done. Not only have they not done anything about it, they've been participating in the problem.
mm.
You know, they've been participating in the problem. Um, what what signal does it? What signal are you giving to children if you have a community where the sisters, alhamdulillah, are dressed very modestly? They're dressed like the wives of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Seriously.
But you got sisters that have been married to 5 different brothers in the masjid.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
confusion. That's absolutely confusion.
And how
That's
does how does
crazy and it's confusion.
how does the Imam of the Mesha allow that to happen to begin with? You know what I mean? That's like encouraging that type of behavior. So now you have an entire generation of single mothers, children who grew up in single parent households, broken families because of this type of behavior. You feel
And
me? Because
that's a proof in of itself, because we say
mm,
the kufar behavior. So
mm,
the prevailing, we know the statistics, like it's almost 80% now that black
mm,
children are born out of wedlock.
yeah,
How are these problems in the Muslim community?
community. Yep. What is Islam doing to solve these issues? Because if your
Yes.
religion has done nothing to solve this, there's issues. Either there's a problem with the religion or there's a problem with you. You have the choice to decide which one it is.
And
If
it's
you
not the
decide,
religion. It's not
yeah,
not to cut you off. It ain't the religion, because we could
yeah,
look at other groups of Muslims and they don't have that problem.
they don't have that problem.
So
So what is it?
so who has the
What
problem?
is it? Yes, some accountability, some self-reflection needs to happen here. You know what I mean? So,
So yeah, you don't.
anyways,
But see, a lot of times with religion, what people like to do, and I'm not pointing my fingers or wagging my fingers at people like I'm some religious authority or something like that. I don't want anybody to get that
mm,
impression. I sin like everybody else, and I have to make Toba like everybody else. But a lot of times, what we do is, you know, we try to find a way of. We can't do what we want to do by sinning outright. So we'll find a way to kind of work in the system to do what we want to do.
mm,
So I can't go out here and make zina, and I can't have serial girlfriends or boyfriends. I can't have kids out of wedlock, but I can go through serial marriages.
Marriage. That's exactly what it is. People go into marriage with the intention of divorce.
Yes.
Their whole idea of marriage is I'm not staying with this person for the rest of my life. So, in my humble opinion, people shouldn't get married. Black people, at least black people, shouldn't get married. They shouldn't get married until they've gone through counseling first, right? Particularly the sisters, because the women are the ones who are ending the marriages.
That's
all
true.
the time.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, all the time. So that's my personal opinion. They need to go through counseling. They need to go through training, marriage training, how to be a good wife, how to be a good husband, these type of things. You know what I mean? And how to stay married when things get rough. Because if you're getting married, you're going to go through some rough times. And if you're living in a capitalist society, those rough times will come mostly because of finances and money. And most marriages end because of finances. Right? So you have to learn to stay with your man through rough times. That's what a marriage is. A marriage is forever. It's not like a temporary thing. But in the Black psyche, because there has been so much instability in Black families, they don't have a concept of stable families. They only see, for example, their moms with new men every few months or so. That's what they think is normal, and that's not normal. That's not normal behavior.
All your brothers and sisters got different daddies.
Yeah, that's not normal behavior at all. You have 4 children by 3 different men. That's not normal. You understand? But you believe it's more normal because you grew up in that. And so you start repeating that cycle, and the cycle repeats itself over and over and over again. So that's what I'm saying. For us, we need to get counseling. No man or no woman shouldn't get married without counseling. I mean professional counseling, not just like some classes with the imam and stuff. Like, come on, man. You're putting the imam between a rock and a hard place. Like, what are you doing? Professional marriage counseling.
Yes. I would definitely agree. And I would even thought, like you said, professional premarital counseling, financial education.
Financial literacy.
Financial. That's something that we, as a group of people, it's not even speculation. It's statistical. It's there's studies done on this. We are, first of all, people in North America are financially illiterate. Period. Even white folks, for the most part, and us, it's just compounded. The amount of ignorance we have.
But we need to practice and do things as a group, as a unit. And when I say as a group and as a unit, I don't mean on Facebook or Instagram. I mean like in our own communities. You know what I mean? We have to work together. There's an African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. That's how we need to be. You know what I mean? Like everything we do, we should be making these decisions together as a community. Who will be the imam of the masjid? Who are the administrators of the? Because just because you're an imam doesn't mean that you have the ability to run a masjid. Right? Let's get that out of the way, right? Just because you study Deen doesn't mean you know the ins and outs of running a nonprofit organization, how to handle the finances and the salaries and the janitorial duties and these type of things. It doesn't mean that you know that, but there are qualified people who know that stuff, right?
True.
And when I say qualified people, I don't mean the brother who's in good with Sheikh Rabia, right? So he needs to be the administrator, right? Because he knows the Sheikh. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? We have to do things a hell of a lot smarter.
I said this in a video that I made that, that goes against the narrative that's being pushed in our society. Because, first of all, Western culture is very individualistic. And we're because in this whole individualism is being pushed even more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the narrative is now, you got to do, I got to get mine, you got to get yours, I got to do for myself. I got to, I only got one life to live. I got to do for me, even if that
Mm-hmm.
means doing things that are considered sinful and haram in Islam. Like if I got to cut off my mother, I'm not speaking to my mother anymore, because I got to do
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm not speaking to my
Mm-hmm.
brother anymore because I got to do me. I'm going to get a divorce because I got to do me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the narrative that's being pushed in society.
Mm-hmm.
And without proper leadership, you're not going to get just the average everyday the average everyday common person doesn't have the knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
and the willpower to overcome whatever the narrative is prevalent in society. Without There has to be effort put forth in order to galvanize a community to be able to come together and do the opposite of what everybody else in the society is doing.
Exactly. All right. Okay. I think that's enough. Now we've been on for almost an hour and a half.
Oh, it's been over an
Jazakallah
hour.
khair. Oh yeah, yeah. Over an hour and a
Alaikum.
half. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, brother CL Edwards. You guys like, subscribe, share. Hit us up on hit me up on Patreon. The brother CL Edwards has his own YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to him as well, and subscribe to the mirror sites. That is the Feachaz on library lbry.com and the infamous Feachaz on YouTube. Share this video. Share it around with your families. This is an important topic. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.